Hey, beautiful soul. So, today I want to talk to the woman who feels like she's been playing small, even though she knows there's something bigger inside. So, I share a lot about my past, about my story, and how I got here, right? And a lot of it started really early for me. And maybe you can relate to this, right? It was an early seed of doubt that made me start with limiting self beliefs and limiting doubts. So for me, I remember being in, elementary school. Maybe raised my hand. Maybe I was hopeful and I didn't get called on. Or for some of you, maybe you always had your hand up and the teacher might have said something like, well, you always answer and let somebody else do it, right? And so for me, being overlooked made me start doubting myself. Well, maybe I should put my hand down. I'm being overlooked. And that small seed, that minute seed, ended up growing, going with me, and staying with me. So over time, I stopped raising my hand at all, right? That's how limiting beliefs start. Someone said in a comment, well, if that's what it took to mess you up, maybe it was more than that. And it was more to it than that. That was on top of other things that had transpired. But for some people, that small incident was the thing that started making them doubt themselves. It was very little. No, it wasn't a huge thing. No, it wasn't a big deal, but it was a quiet, sneaky seed that was planted when they were young and they didn't know how to express it. Maybe it just kept going with them, right? It's a limiting belief. Right. And that's a false accusation that we make about ourselves. And it's usually tied to an experience like the one I just named. Over time, that small seed shapes what you think, what you believe about yourself, right? Shapes what you believe you should go after. And here's the truth: you didn't ask for that limiting belief, right? It might have been handed to you, it might have been spoken over you, or birthed from rejection, like mine. I share my story about how I was left in the hospital when I was born, and that started a limiting belief, a seed of rejection, right? Something that I didn't ask for that happened, but it still started to shape how I thought about myself, right? I was abandoned in the hospital when I was born, and it created a deep rooted belief that I was unwanted. And for years, I carried that rejection and it shaped how I showed up, right? Even as a coach, even as someone with experience in degrees or whatever, there were still moments when I was feeling unworthy. So it wasn't about me accomplishing anything, right? I had to literally uproot that limiting belief and rewrite my story. And that's why I started creating the Rise, Thrive, Flourish community. That's why I created my Flourish Forward coaching program. It was for women that are like me. Some women are just like me, high achievers, but they still feel stuck, right? I created it for bold dreamers who maybe lost their voice along the way. Maybe some incident happened. I talked about the incident from when I was in elementary school, but you could have been a full adult and this thing happened, right? I'm not saying it all happened in childhood, but what it did was it made you lose your voice, right? I created for women who are tired of carrying a belief that doesn't belong to them, or that they shouldn't speak up, go after what they want, right? In my program, right, we work on uprooting these lies, these limiting beliefs, right? So that we can plant the truth about ourselves. We don't just talk about confidence and self confidence and woo woo, we build it. We don't just post affirmations, we learn how to live them and walk them out every day. And coaching really matters because over the years, I've had wonderful friends who've loved me, who have walked with me through some tough things. But it was a coach, right? It was coaches who helped me to hear myself clearly for the first time, right? They didn't see me rooted in my past. They saw the woman that I was becoming and that I wanted to become. Because with a coach, they weren't usually a person who grew up with you or knew you, right? They're a person who sees potential and they help you shape it. Just like in the NBA, I've been watching games with my husband for the past couple of weeks. Okay, there are coaches on the sideline. They see the player's potential. They know what that player needs. They may push them a little bit. They know they need the challenge. That's what a coach does, right? A coach helps you shape and build and become the best version of you, right? So ultimately, you can win. And so that's why I want to offer you a space in my coaching program, Flourish Forward, right? A space where you're not your past, but your future starts to bloom and it starts to unfold. So if your spirit has been whispering that there's more for me, this is your confirmation. If you've been thinking, man, I had some goals for myself in January and it's almost June, this is the perfect time, which is why I'm actually unveiling it right now. Because often we'll think, well, I didn't do it in January, and so maybe I should let it go. No, you still have time. The time is still now. It is still plenty of time for you to accomplish your goals, right? And so you're not too late. You're not too broken. You're not too anything, right? I definitely want you to check out my Flourish program and let's unlearn and uproot these limiting beliefs and lies together, right? I just want you to know, here's an affirmation. You are not the version of yourself that shrank back. You are the version that is choosing to flourish. And so the affirmation, I choose to flourish now, right? Another thing I want to leave you with is don't compare your timing or your life or your journey to anyone else. This is one of the biggest things that held me back, comparison, right? If you look at this picture that I have pulled up, you will see tulips and you'll see different flowers, but you'll also see some trees. Those tulips are not comparing their growth to the trees in the background. And that's what I'm saying to you. Don't compare your growth or your time or your journey to anyone else's. And so I hope you have a good day. I just wanted to share that thought, but I am here for you. I am rooting for you. All my thrivers, this thriving community, I call y'all my thrivers in my head. Those of us who are growing despite our surroundings, growing and pushing through hard terrain, growing and uprooting old seeds of doubt. You guys are my thrivers, and I am so excited for you to be a part of my community. Have a good day. See you on the next video.